Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Verstrepen. I'm a microbiologist at KULeuven. And let me first apologize for not being there live. The idea was that I would be there and give a talk, but I was really unable to make it. And I very much realized that a clip is not half as good as a live talk. But unfortunately, it's really the best thing that we could do in this. Good. So some specific tips for the Synergy grant. It goes without saying that the team should be top-notch, right? You want to get really extremely good scientists in there. Not necessarily senior scientists. You can, I think, well, in our case, this was the case. You can mix very established with more junior scientists, but given their career stage, all of them, I think, should be really top-notch. And I also think that everyone in the team should be truly enthused about the topic. What I mean about this is, I'm sure many of you have been in these collaborations where you ask a colleague, hey, we would need this little expertise of you to be able to do this. Would you be willing to do it? And they say yes, but it's not really their main topic. And so they do it on the side. They're not really committed. Those people, if you really need them, I wouldn't make them co-promoter. I would make them sort of a partner. There's probably a technical term for this. ERC people can tell you this. There's a way to get them into the grant, but not as a true co-promoter. I think the people you want in your team have to be truly enthused about the topic and really want to make this one of the core or the core research line in their team. Obviously, you want to involve everyone in the writing. Somebody has to take the lead. I was the coordinator for a Synergy grant, so I and actually one of my senior postdocs took the lead in coordinating this. But everyone was truly involved, and it goes together with the previous point, of course, that everyone in our team really wanted this grant. It was the core of their research. They really wanted to do this. And so they really went for it, and they wrote their own pieces, but they also read and reread and rewrote the parts that I wrote for my piece, and we were three, so we actually wrote each other's parts, right? A very important one is that every team member, I think, in my experience, needs to be truly essential. So it's very tempting to engage a friend that you have in the field just because he or she is such a nice person and a very good person, and you would like to collaborate with them, and that's very understandable. But these grants are very different from the typical ERC networks that also exist. I think here you really want people that are truly committed, that want to do this as their main research line. And they need to be essential. If they overlap in their expertise with some of the other co-promoters, I would leave them out. Literally, you have to be able to say, if we take out this person from the team, we should be completely unable to get to the results and to the research that we want to do. I think that's a good test, right? And of course, not just for a small part, but for a pretty essential part, ideally almost an equal part. If it's 3 people, each of them should be doing around 33% or so of the total work, I think. And it needs to be essential and different from what the other people do. And the other people shouldn't be able to do this, right? I think that's super important. So limit your partners, select them very wisely, and take the best ones that you know are really going to go behind it. Remember that it's not a strict necessity to go international or even inter-university. So there are quite a few Synergy grants that have 2 applicants from the same city or the same part of same country. I'm not saying this is better. I don't think it really matters very much. In my case, we have people from 3 different countries. I said that everybody needs to be essential and have different expertise, but the flip side of that is that you don't want people to work on completely different separated parts, work packages that have almost walls between them, right? It really needs to be a collaborative project, ideally where everybody can start working together from day one and exchange information. So everybody relies on the other one, not just at the end to come to the complete story, but also during the grant, there needs to be exchange of information, of data, of scientists. I think that's the ideal scenario. And in our case, I can say that this was truly the case. So I would not recommend making up stories to make it look this way. It really needs to be the case that this is the only way to make it work. And I think if you have that, you can really go for the synergy. And then it's also important that you show that you've thought about the practicalities of the collaboration. How are you going to do this? In our case, we used Slack. It's an online app that I actually know from my daughter. She's a sports climber and the team uses Slack, so I was a bit familiar with Slack. But I know others have used Asana or just Teams for project coordination. But one of these digital platforms, I think, can really help. Nothing replaces live meetings. Even in the preparation phase for our grant, we had 3 live meetings with our team in location for several days, not just with the promoters, co-promoters, but also with a few of our senior lab members who could help for several days. And we worked extremely hard those days. And we had more meetings, live meetings, after we were invited for the interview to prepare for the interview. We had 2 more multi-day live meetings. And those were really, I think, essential. And we also showed this at the defense that we had these, and we talked about Slack. I'll show you this in the last part of the presentation. For the defense, practice. Don't learn it by heart because you will lose the enthusiasm, but practice it enough so that you have all the timing right, especially for a synergy grant. In most cases, the teams will have all the co-promoters present, so you need to really rehearse this. You can also choose to have one person, let's say the main applicant, present. I personally think it is better and nicer to have multiple presenters. It also shows that everyone is really into the grant. Of course, not just one slide per person, right? In our case, we had it in 3 big blocks. Or actually, no, I started, then we had co-promoter 1, co-promoter 2, and I ended. That's how we did it. We appointed a moderator for the question. This might sound silly, but you're there, in our case, with the 3 of us, at least 2, maybe 4 co-promoters, right? And people start firing questions, and you need to have a way of managing who will answer the questions. And so we decided that it's good to have a moderator, and that was me. Sometimes I decided, okay, I'm going to take this one, or I started replying to it, giving the others some time to think, and I knew who was the expert in that question. So I first gave a more general reply, and then I gave the question, I passed on the question actively to one of the team members, who then continued to reply. Still keeping it very short. So that's another important tip that is not on the slide. You want to keep the replies to your questions very short. So you need to practice this. We had one person in our team who had the tendency to give very long, very complete replies and thinking about all the small cases that could still, exceptions that could still be there and that he felt he also needed to address. And we tell him, no, focus on the essence, very short answers, because we need to reply to many questions. And so that's an important one. For the presentation, you want to start very broadly, drawing in all your panel members, even the non-experts, and most of them are not experts. So you have to make everyone interested in your topic, and you really start broadly. And then you can have a few slides, but I would say less than half, maybe a third of the slides going a bit into the technicalities, and of course highlighting maybe the things you really feel are special, maybe new techniques or fantastic technologies or cool ideas. And then you bring it back a bit broader. Because importantly, not all the panel members, actually most panel members are not experts in your topic, especially in a synergy grant. It's true for all ERCs, but especially in a synergy.